Hello, 8th grade artist. With this video, I'm going to show you how to put a white paper cover on your recycled book that will become your art journal. So the first thing we're going to do is lay your paper out horizontally in front of you, and you're going to lay your book so that way the edges are parallel to the edges of your paper. It doesn't really matter where it is left to right now. We're just going to use it to kind of gauge where to fold our paper down from top to bottom. So I'm going to eyeball it to make sure I have about the same amount of space from the top edge of the paper to the bottom edge of the paper away from the book. And I'm going to start at the top fold, and I'm just going to make a little crease along the book, move the book out of the way so I can then fold this all the way down. And if you struggle with making these really long folds, sometimes it's nice to kind of, before you totally crease it, watch the edges and make sure that the top edge that you're folding down ends up lining up entirely with the edge of the paper underneath that you're folding it onto. And do that same thing over here. Crease, and then I'll just press that crease down all the way across. Then you should have a nice long straight crease. When I lay the book back on top, I want to lay it on top of this new folded paper. This folded edge is basically like the top edge of your book cover. And we want that top edge of our book cover to now be kind of in line with the top edge of the book, but move the book down slightly so you get a little bit of wiggle room right there. Then I'm going to make a little guiding crease and do the exact same thing on the bottom edge. So I creased it, move the book out of the way, and fold. Looking again to stack that paper up so that way those edges are parallel to each other. Stacked right on top of each other. So now when I place my book back on top, I should have just a little bit of extra space. The paper should be slightly taller than the book. Move this up so you can see. So I have a little bit of extra room right here, and I have a little bit of extra room right here. It's going to be a nice tight fit. If you ever find out that your book cover is too big or too small, this is the step that you will come back to, readjust those folds to make up for whatever the difference is. All right, so from here we're ready to move on, and I'm going to move my book over. I'm going to fold from left to right the white paper in half around my book. And what I'm looking for is to line up the edges of my paper, the top paper and the bottom paper. And while not moving the book around too much, I'm going to actually lift up the cover. I have the hard cover right here. And I'm going to fold the paper around that front hard cover. I'm going to smush my book back into the spine there so it's nice and taut. And then I'm going to flip my book around and do the exact same thing, tucking this edge of the paper around the cover. So now it pretty much looks like my book is covered, but the book cover is loose, like my book is going to fall right out of it. That's not okay. So now what I want to do is open up one of the covers, and I'm going to put the hard cover in this little imaginary pocket right here. So it's going to slip down right into these folds. And the best way to do that is to try to do like a back bend with the book. You end up bending the spine the way you are not technically supposed to bend the spine. So I do a little back bend with the book and then help to guide the edge of that cover into the sleeve. And then rinse and repeat. Do the same thing for the back side. Bend it backwards. Guide it into the sleeve. And that is a covered book. Before you put your name on the book, you will want to make sure that your words are going up and down. And when you put your name on your book, I don't have a Sharpie handy, but I'll use this pen. On the spine, you can either write it vertically, or you can write it, turn your book so it goes from side to side, whatever makes you comfortable. So you can just write your name right along the side. So when they're in storage, we can easily tell whose book is whose. And that's it. You've covered your book. Good job.